Hi guys, I wanted to take a few minutes to really break down some of these main theorists because they're really important, and I want to make sure you understand them just like I would teach one of my face-to-face classes. So we're going to go over just the main four, Erikson, Piaget, Vygotsky, and actually, no, those are the three we're going to go over. Just those three. So first of all, you've got to understand that theory is there for a reason. It's not just all these people you have to memorize just because we want you to. I'll be honest, I used to think that when I was in college. But really, it is the foundation for what we do, and we need to be able, or you need to be able to articulate why you do what you do. So let me fix this. So that's why I want you to really understand this. So with Erikson, Erikson has kind of a social theory. Well, it is a social theory, and it's really important. You see that there's this kind of like war between one feeling or another with early childhood. And so let me give you an example. Actually, I'll probably give you a couple. As infants, we see trust versus mistrust. And how that works is a child develops a trust for a adult or any human that meets their needs. So if they don't meet their needs, they develop a mistrust and attachment's not formed, and you guys can see where this is going later in life, right? So let's say an infant is crying. Okay, so an infant's crying over and over, and if a child's not picked up, then they're going to develop this sense of mistrust, whereas if they are, they're going to develop a trusting relationship and grow up carrying that out in their life. Now, some people ask, well, what about when they're just crying? I've already checked to see if they needed to be fed and changed, and if they're tired, and if they're sick, and blah, blah, blah. Isn't it okay to let them cry it out? That's different if they, all their needs have been met. But generally speaking, crying it out is, every now and then it's fine, but it's not aligned with child development. They need to be held and loved and warmed on, so they develop that trusting attachment with adults and grow up to be confident and trusting in others. All right, another aspect of that is the autonomy versus shame and doubt that our toddlers see. Now, autonomy means I can do it by myself. If you've ever been around a toddler, you know that I do it by myself. They want to do things by themselves. But a lot of times it's easier for the adult to say, well, no, hurry up, I'll do it. And that is not good, according to child development research. Erikson says that if we do things for them, if we don't give them an opportunity to do these things alone, by themselves, then what could happen is they can develop the shame and doubt that, I'm not good enough. Oh, can I really do that? If you've ever seen a young child, not necessarily super young, but say 6, 7, and 8, and you get them to try to do something, and the first thing they say is, I can't do that. I'll never be able to do that. I'm not good enough. That's where this comes from, y'all. So it's really important to be intentional about our caregiving and our teaching and giving these children opportunities galore to do things by themselves. One of my favorite things I used to love doing, even with toddlers, y'all, is family style dining, where children would have small measuring cups and they would pour their own milk, and they would use little tongs to get their own food on their plate, and they would put their dishes away. And you might say, wow, that sounds crazy. They would just make a huge mess. And to that, I tell you two things. One, sometimes they do make a mess, but it's early childhood. It happens. It's okay. You teach them to clean it up. But the second thing is people say, oh my gosh, they can't do that. How? And here's my answer to that. Yes, they can. Because of you. Because as a teacher, you teach them how to do stuff, okay? You teach them, all right? You don't just tell them to do it, you teach them. So I'm going to skip Piaget and kind of go right into Vygotsky, because that goes right with what I'm saying, okay? So a lot of people say, oh, I keep telling the kids over and over, and they're just not doing it. And a lot of times kids just don't get it because they haven't been taught. So Vygotsky tells us about the zone of proximal development, which in the video you watched, or you will watch, it will give you a great visual with a little tube that shows you about where a child is independently and what they can do with assistance, and that, well, my hands are not even, but, you know, in between that is called scaffolding. And scaffolding is just like the scaffolding you know of, or I hope you know of, for painters. Okay, so if you ever see people painting a building or washing windows or anything like that, you know scaffolding is that stuff that builds up little platforms for people to get higher and higher. All right, but it doesn't just get built to the 8th floor. All right, see, here's the trick to scaffolding. It starts here and then goes up one at a time. And that is what scaffolding with children is. We don't just say, oh, go cut. You can cut your 3. You can cut. Why aren't you cutting? You know, what's wrong with their parents? No, you have to teach them. You have to scaffold one step at a time. So you don't just hand a child a pair of scissors. I know these are not children's scissors, but they happen to be on my desk. You don't just say, here, cut, and hope they can do it. You do it one piece at a time. So you say, okay, show me 2. Because, okay, they don't know how to put their hands in this thing. I'm trying to figure out which angle I'm at. They don't know how to put their hands in here and work it. So you say, show me 2. Okay, put your 2 in the big part, in the big hole. Okay, so now I got 2. All right, so show me 2. Now show me your thumb. They can do that. If you say show me 3, they're going to do this. But if you say show me 2, show me your thumb, they can do that. Say, put your thumb in the big, or your 2 in the big hole and your thumb in the little hole. And you might think, okay, now that they can cut. No, they can't cut yet. See, you have to tell them what to do with this thing. See, often as adults, we forget all these tiny steps because they come like this to us, right? But children don't know, so we have to scaffold. We have to teach. That is why when you guys get to doing your lesson plans, you have to put lots of quotations in there to say what you will say to teach. So once we have it in here, the way I used to say is pretend you're an alligator. And I would do it before they even put their fingers in. Show me 2 and 1, your thumb, and pinch like an alligator. I'm a mad alligator, right? They can do this. They can open, close. They get that concept. So you just say put your 2 in the big one, your thumb in the little one, and chomp. Open, close. Now they can start to get the hang of it. All right, so that's really important for you to understand. How does that even matter with what you do in class? Well, the implications of that theory are huge. It means that you can't just tell a child to do something. You have to teach them step by step, broken down to tiny pieces. I mean, even saying complicated words, you know, is hard for young children. They have to think about putting their tongue on the top of their mouth to say a certain word. Like lick. You and I never think ever. If we say the word lick, it just comes out. But to them, they have to think of put my tongue on the top of my mouth to make that lick sound. It's complicated, so we have got to teach step by step. All right, lastly, I'm going to tell you about my man Piaget. If you've ever had me before, if you ever have me again, you will know this is my man. I love Piaget. And Piaget teaches us that children learn differently from adults. He says that young children, our infants and our toddlers, they learn through their senses and their movements. And so what that means for us is we need to give them sensory-rich things. We need to give them things that feel different, things that they can taste, things that they can hear, you know, like instruments they can shake. We don't put those up because they're loud. No, we give them to them and teach them how to use it. Okay, that's what nap time's for quiet, right? The rest of the day, no, it doesn't need to be quiet. All right, so they need things that stimulate. They need things to touch. So finger paint and Play-Doh and all the things that people hate because it's messy is exactly what these young children need to learn. Are you getting this? You need to just have this drilled into your head. Young children need senses and movement to learn, okay? So then we go up to our next age category, and that is the pre-operational category. That's age 2 to 7. And the big thing with this is children need hands-on concrete materials. Okay, you and I, right now, if I say penguin, you can think of a penguin just fine. That is an abstract thought. You and I cannot see a penguin right now, but we can put that together because of our prior experiences, right? We've seen it on TV or whatever. Young children can't do that, okay? So they need things that they can touch and hear, okay? So they need lots and lots of activities and centers, and you guys are about to do a wonderful group project about these activity centers and all the materials they're going to need. So they need hands-on stuff, and worksheets are not hands-on. Let me say that again. Worksheets are not hands-on, okay? A child, it is so much easier for a child, let's say a 5-year-old learning to actually count objects, 3 acorns plus 2 berries, or 3 pom-poms and 2 pipe cleaners, than to look at a worksheet. They need to touch and feel. So, y'all, these are huge, huge things, okay? I want you to understand that these theories have huge implications as to what we do in our classrooms and other places we work with young children. Okay, so now you guys have read it, you've heard me talk about it, you've watched the videos on the PowerPoint, so now put it all together and come up with some of your own examples. There's tons of them as to how this theory, what are the implications of it in the classroom. All right, so give me some examples. I look forward to reading them. Bye.